back to another video. All right, so in the last video, we got not as much done as I wanted to. We got the motor in the car, the old clutch and flywheel's on, because the new clutch isn't gonna be here for a while. I got another update for the ECT clutch and flywheel, and that's not gonna be here till the end of September now, and it is like August 8th today. As you can see, we still have a ton of parts here. I like looking at that one right there. That thing is, I don't know, something about a turbo just laying around. Maybe I should get one to hang on the wall or something. We're gonna go ahead and take the bumper off, and we're gonna work on intercooler and the fans. I was gonna go ahead and put the header on, but the header sits kind of right here, which is just gonna be a pain and to get these fans off. So we're gonna probably do that last. After we get the intercooler on, the fans on, we'll put the header on. And then after that, I think we'll focus on putting the belt on. We still gotta torque the crank bolt another 90 degrees. I got it down to the torque spec. I can't remember what that was, but you get it to a certain rating and then you gotta torque it down another 90 degrees. So we still gotta do that. After all of that's done, we're still waiting on the rebuild kits for these injectors. Those should be in tonight. If we can get those, we can try to put that in, the wiring harness on, and build the top of the motor and get everything plugged in. But if we can't do that, or if we do and it's done, we gotta go and put the fuel pump in. It all sounds really simple and easy, and like we're gonna get this thing running in like a day. But with my luck, it'll probably take all weekend and we'll just get really close as long as things go smooth. And there'll probably have to be another video before we start it. So if I keep talking, nothing's gonna get done. So let's get this bumper off. All right, so we got the intercooler installed and the fans. The fans are pretty easy. I'll show you guys that in a minute. The intercooler is really straightforward. It doesn't come with any instructions, the whole kit. I didn't find anything anyway, but it's honestly not too hard to figure out. It comes with this bracket right here, and you do have to drill this hole like you guys saw. That was pretty easy too. I took some measurements, or not measurements, but I marked where the center was of that hole, where I could see it when I mocked this bracket up. And then I just transferred the mark onto the bracket, drilled into the center of the bracket where that line is, and then it came in perfectly. I did go a little oversized just in case we needed a little wiggle room. And then there's two bolts in the back there. I don't know if you guys see that very well. There's two holes underneath on this. I honestly don't know what this is called, but it attaches to that. You don't need to drill anything there. There's a bunch of holes and it lines up perfectly with those. And that's how it attaches. We got the fans installed too. Like I said, that's pretty straightforward. There's two bolts on the bottom down there that you gotta take off, the hood latch, and then there's a bolt here, same spot on the other side, and a bolt here in the front, same spot on the other side. The thing about the fans is it does come with a weird setup. The harness isn't plug and play with the OEM setup, or the OEM harness. So JDL was nice enough to send an adapter. Looks like it comes with a fuse. This is from Spell. When I called them to order this kit, they don't normally send this. You have to buy this separately typically. But the guy that I talked to was nice enough to include this in the sale. He ordered it and then just included it with the package, so I had everything I needed. So once we get everything installed and everything's good to go, I don't want to install this right now just because there might be stuff in the way that we're not seeing at the moment. But once we get everything installed, we'll run this harness. It's pretty straightforward. You guys will see me do that when the time comes. We'll run this and it should be just fine. Now that we have those on, I'm gonna go ahead and get this crank pulley bolt set to 90, torqued 90 more degrees. Yeah, I don't know words apparently. So then that's set and we don't have to worry about it anymore. Once we get that to where it needs to be, we're gonna go ahead and put the headers on, and then we can start thinking about maybe some of the piping involved with the turbo and all of that other good stuff. Let's get this thing torqued to where it needs to be and then try to get the rest of it assembled in the motor. Okay, so as you guys just seen, I put the downpipe on. We have the intercooler, routed the turbo. The cold side is still, you can still rotate that because I haven't tightened these down yet. That way, everything can be positioned right where it needs to be, and when it is, and everything's hooked up and we have it right where we want it, then we can torque everything down and we'll be solid. The only problem that I just ran into is when I put that downpipe on, I ordered a 3-inch downpipe, and maybe I'm a little stupid, I don't know. The tism is strong in this house. But I ordered a 3-inch downpipe because why not go bigger? And I also ordered a 3-inch Nameless Catback. So I figured why not? Eventually I'll replace the 2.5-inch over and mid pipe to connect it and make it all 3-inch all the way back eventually. But that's not the case. We're gonna have to do it right now. I talked to the guys at JDL, and this is no knock on them because they've been amazing through this whole process, this build. Someone that I talked to over there, when I was talking to them about my order, they said the 3-inch flange would still, or should still, bolt up to the 2.5-inch flange, and that's not the case. This 3-inch gasket is freaking massive. And I went down and tried to hook it up anyway just to see, and I can't even get the holes to line up. Thing is huge. That being said, it kind of sucks. I just went on Nameless's website and ordered their overpipe mid-pipe combo. So that might set us back a little bit. They build a lot of their stuff in batches, so it could be readily available, and all I'd have to do is go pick it up. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping that they have something because I don't want to wait too long to get this thing started. It's not going to hold us up too much because I still have to send the file out from the stock ECU file to my tuner, r.spec, who we're going with. And then he's gonna have to do his thing before we actually start the vehicle, and that might take a day or two. I don't know how busy he is right now, but that's where we're at. So still no sign of my seals, my combustion seals for the DI injectors, but we got plenty to do. So we're gonna finish piping this intercooler, kind of get that where it needs to be. Obviously we can't hook it up to the intake because it's not there, but we can finish getting that all taken care of. I think I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this down after we do that. Then we still have the fuel pump to do, and that shouldn't take too long. So I'm gonna try not to stress out. Let's get it done. Alright, so I totally spaced on repositioning the camera so you guys could see the rest of how I routed the blow-off valve. But obviously, come from the blow-off valve right here, come under the intake, the turbo, and I went along the hood latch and just followed that all the way down, zip tied it to the harness, came back around the brake booster, and then tapped it in just like that. So as of right now, we're pretty much done in the engine bay. We've got everything done that we can so far. I don't want to hook up these coolant lines on the turbo until the intake is pretty much, or actually, yeah, completely mounted. So we're still waiting on the combustion seals for the DI injectors. Once those are in, it'll be kind of a breeze to get the top of this motor completely built out, and then we can put those coolant lines in where they need to go. And I think the engine bay will pretty much be done other than the boost controller. I think next we're gonna go ahead and pull the fuel pump out, do the fuel pump real quick, and then I've got a list that I'm going down, but plenty to do. Less talking, more action. Let's do it. Should pop right up. Just gonna pry up. Should come up fairly easy, maybe. Crap with it too. I cannot catch a break, guys, I swear. So we were putting this all together, and then I had to put the filter on, the strainer, and then it was gonna go back into the hanger. We're gonna put it all back together. Everything was gonna be good, quick, easy, really not that hard. Unfortunately, that's the strainer they sent, And this is an old strainer. The old strainer sits like this. So as you can see, it sits right under the fuel pump. The reason why it sits like that is because if it doesn't center with the hanger, it's not gonna go in. I called JDL and I don't think it's their fault because Walbro sends them their product packaged and I think they just send it out with the kit. But I called JDL to talk to them about it. They asked for pictures. They were super willing to work with me and communicate and try to resolve any issues. These guys have been super awesome. I really can't say enough about them. I ended up finding a filter on Amazon that specifically works for this fuel pump. So I ordered that. That'll be here tomorrow. But I had to order that front and overpipe combo from Nameless. Fortunately, they got back to me today and they told me that they are 6 to 8 weeks out from production. So they wouldn't even start working on it for 6 to 8 weeks from now. When I talked to JDL, I know that they also offer a front overpipe combo and it's cheaper. I told the lady there and she said that I told her that I was aiming to start the car by the end of the month. And she said that that shouldn't be a problem, but she just needs to double check with the head fabricator over there. So that's where we're at. We are waiting for that filter before we can put the fuel pump back in, and that we're in the works with JDL right now to get that front overpipe. Let's go ahead and pump out all this gas. I'm gonna run to the store, get a pump because I don't have one. We're gonna pump out this gas and then by that time I'll figure out what we're gonna do next. This is the SST tool to put the combustion seals onto our injectors. This is an old injector. These are 2 new ones. I think the other one's still in the car. As you can see, it tore. This one probably would have still worked because it still had a little bit on there. The problem that we run into now, because of course, why would there be a problem, is when I put this on here, there's a gap. This thing isn't very snug. And what this is supposed to do, there's a bevel side right there. Bevel side is supposed to face up, but it's supposed to go over the combustion seal and shrink it, ultimately shrinking it to the size of the injector. So then when we put it into the car, it slides down and it doesn't get caught up and it actually seals. So I went online and tried to look up different ways that people are doing this because as always, there's gotta be a cheaper, easier way to do it without buying a $100 tool. And I saw a guy use some hose, and what he does is he takes the injector, he takes a hose that's bigger than the injector, he puts the combustion seal onto the injector, then we can take some of this excess coolant hose that's just slightly bigger, put it in, put a clamp over the top of it, tighten it down, let it sit for a minute, loosen it, the clamp, pull it back out, and then we come over to our even smaller hose and we'll do the same thing, except this one's a lot tighter and it barely goes over, so we got to be really careful. And then we'll go ahead and put a clamp on this, hold it, pull it back off when it's done, and hopefully the seals end up like these factory seals that I pulled out. Once all of that's done, we're gonna try at least one of them. If we can find success on getting it shrunk down and everything looks like it's gonna work, then we'll do all 4. I have 8 total seals, so I can afford to mess up 4 of them if I really was terrible at it. But I wanna make sure that it's a solid move, because if not, then I might go and buy this other tool that I was looking at that I know works for a fact, but it was just gonna be really expensive and take forever to get here. I am sweating. But if it works and we get all 4 of them done, we'll then also put them in the freezer for about an hour and a half each. Well, I guess they'll all go in there together. We'll pull them out so then they're a little bit smaller, and then we'll put some oil on them, and hopefully all of that done, they'll go in, and they won't, and they'll go in right, and we can move on past this injector nightmare. So without further ado, let's go ahead and try to get one of these done, and hopefully it works. Bad news, guys. This one didn't make it either. Well, guys, no freaking luck. I really thought, at least the second one was better than the first, but I thought that maybe we were onto something with that hose clamp idea, and it just didn't do it for us. I have a very specific kit that I was originally going to buy outside of for getting them on. It's got a different cone that's a little bit smaller that fits a lot better, and it's got this resizer tool, same setup, but it's like perfect the way it fits on there. So we're gonna order that, try that out, see if it does anything. It's the same tool that everyone else is using for this car, and it seems to work just fine. If you throw it in the freezer like we did, it'll be perfectly sized, and hopefully we just get these things in, because this is the biggest holdup right now, aside from obviously the fuel pump. But this video is pretty long at this point. We got the majority of the kit done. We got the intercooler on. We've got some of it piped. The turbo is pretty much clocked. We just haven't tightened it down yet. Need to wait for that to get connected to the rest of the exhaust. So we got the intercooler piped, turbo clocked. We got the feed line, the drain line underneath, coolant hoses that we'll install after we get the intake on. We've got the wiring harness on. All of this side is pretty much wired except for the fuel rail and the fuel injectors, and then the port injectors once we get the intake on. I'm a little nervous about these wires down here. It's gonna get really hot next to this downpipe and the header, so we might have to wrap these. I don't know, we'll have to keep an eye on it. Got our blow-off valve routed the way that I wanted to, tapped into the brake booster. Not gonna be able to do the wastegate until we get everything else done and get the boost controller mounted. So that's gonna be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it so far. If you guys are watching, you have any advice on these seals, because this is the biggest pain in the ass I've ever dealt with in my life, go ahead and drop them below. Even if you see this a year from now, someone's going to be watching this video, hopefully, maybe, we'll see, and they might be struggling with the same thing, and you dropping that info might help them, and it'll help me on future builds. So, alright guys, love y'all. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, it would mean a lot. Talk to you guys later.